Hafide Zantero, welcome to Mariana's Stories. I'm Catherine Perry, and this is where we chat with ordinary people with extraordinary stories in our community. And we're social distancing today, conducting this interview via Zoom and Facebook Live because of COVID-19 and what's happening in our community. And our guest today is one of the members of the media who's keeping us informed and safe during this time. He's the longest serving reporter and editor in the CNMI, Zaldy Dandan. Zaldy, thanks for joining us on Mariana's Stories today.
Thanks for having me.
You know, I think a lot of people obviously know you as the editor of Mariana's Variety, and I'm really excited to give them a chance to get to know you a little bit more in our chat today. Can you start us off with a little bit about your early career, how you got interested in journalism and how you ended up in the CNMI?
Oh, yeah. Well, I can start when I was in second grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when my teacher said, you should be a writer.
Wow.
And I didn't know if he was being sarcastic, but I took it seriously. And by the time I was in fifth grade, I said, yeah, I want to be a writer. And so I did become a writer. That was how it started. I worked for a Philippine newspaper in Manila. And then after 3 years, I was recruited to work for Saipan. I don't know how it is now, but back in the day, you must have 3 years experience in the job before you're allowed to work abroad, if you're from the Philippines. I don't know how it is now.
What made you want to work abroad?
Dollars. Exchange rate. It was 1 to 26 back then. And, you know, travel. And I've seen pictures of Saipan, beaches. I live in Manila. There was one beach. It's an open sewer, basically.
Oh.
It's horrible. Manila Bay. But so I really want to see and the only people who can afford to do that in the Philippines are the rich, to see beaches like what we have here in Saipan. So that was another attraction for me.
Was it what you expected when you got here, or how was it different?
Yes. Basically, yeah, it's pretty. It's still pretty.
Right.
So clean, so pretty. The people are friendly, even when drunk, especially when drunk. So yeah.
So your first position when you got here, and that was 1993. I believe that was 1 month ahead of Ferdy.
Ferdy of Tribute, yeah.
Yeah. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Your first
job
was
the Mohicans. Yeah.
Your first job was with the Marianas Observer. I think a lot of our viewers aren't familiar with that publication. They were they're maybe too young. Can you tell us about it?
When I first got here, there were a lot of newspapers. Most
Really?
of them are weekly newspapers. They all came out Friday. And why not another one, right? So we had another one. It was the Observer. There was the Variety, Tribune, which was still owned by Larry Hillblum. There was the Pacific Star, the Marianas, Guam, something, so many other newspapers, Review, and there were 2 cable TV news services. There were 2 radio stations. Yeah, it was fun to cover events because there will be 15 of us or 16. PDN was still sending their reporters. So it was fun back then, and that's how it was. Everybody wanted a newspaper, and everyone had a newspaper. You could choose. there was a lot every Friday. That was that's how we started here. Yeah, I was editor of the Observer. And our first staffers were from the Tribune, which was then sold by Hillblum to Willie Tan after the November elections. And they were across from our office. And there was another newspaper to our left and another one down in the corner. It was so fun back then.
What was reporting like in a practical sense back then? I mean, you didn't have cell phones. You probably had, right? You didn't have cell phones.
No cell phones, no pagers.
So, like, how did you get your stories and
you have to be there. You have to be there. You have to be there. You have to stay awake. You have to listen. and you have to tune in to the radio broadcast and the TV broadcast later today just to make sure you got it, because they will replay some of the clips, right? So okay, I got it. Yep, yeah, that was slow motion, everything. Even the way you complain, you must submit a letter to the editor. You just cannot post anything online. You have to write it down and send it.
Sign your name. Take responsibility for your comments. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember it may have been the 80s when I was growing up here. I mean, politics, and I can imagine news. I didn't really follow the news because I was too young. It's kind of like the Wild Wild West back then. What would you say? I mean, was it civil when you first got here, as far as like people respecting your position as a reporter or a member of the media and what you were doing?
Nobody respected reporters. Nobody. No one does. Come to think of it, we are. I once compared reporters to a case of eczema. You know, it's there. They have to deal with us, and that's how it was. They don't like us. They never will like us because we traffic in information. And when you're in power, information is very, very precious. You must know how to control it, to know when to dish it out, to withhold it. And our job is basically to just spread it out. As long as we get it and it's right, we report it. They don't like that. They complain not because you got it wrong. Well, they will complain if you got it wrong, of course. But mostly they complain because you got it. Why are you reporting that? Yeah, that's it. That's basically the most top complaint ever. Why? Why do you have to write that? Why this headline? Why this photo? Why this story? Why do you exist? Things like that. And if you look back at history, that's always been the case anywhere.
So what would you say to them when people who still have that mindset today, like, why do that? What is the role of the media? Why is it important for you to report things as they are?
Yeah, the problem is, I just said it's our job. If we get it wrong, we'll run the correction. But on our part, of course, we have to be mindful of ethical concerns about what to report, how to report it, you know, when to withhold information, when to not report it. I have a rule against, for example, against suicides and bomb threats, and those kind of things that, according to studies, they result in copycat acts. So I'm, as much as possible, I stay away from those stories. I never report those stories, as long as you know, as much as possible, I really avoid those stories. It doesn't help anyone anyway.
What is your thought process when it comes to determining what's going to be tomorrow's headline?
What people would like to read? What would they like to know? And
so not necessarily what they need to know, but what they might be most interested in. Because sometimes what we want to know is not the most important thing we need to know. Would you agree?
Sure. For example, if there's a typhoon coming, they will want to know that, and they need to know that. So
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
A big crime. It's the same thing. They will want to know that, and they will hate you if you didn't inform them about it. COVID too. COVID is difficult. If you report about it, why keep reporting about it? If you don't report it, why are you not reporting about it? So that's how it is always in most stories. There was one of these guys was complaining. He said, "Did we get it wrong?" No, that's actually the problem. You got everything right. Why do you have to do it? It's a new story. Sorry.
Yeah. You know, speaking of COVID, you know, there's a lot of talk about the fatigue that's happening, both with frontline, with the community having to deal with, you know, the quarantine and all these regulations and stuff like that. But like you guys, you like, as you said, deal with that every day, do you find that that COVID or any other story that you've covered just kind of wears on your soul after a while? Have you ever had that experience, or how do you handle when you have these really difficult or trying stories that you're following over a long period of time?
You just have to report it. Well, when I was a very young reporter, so one of the persons I interviewed was, how do you call it, a mortician. She cleans up the corpses. So that was my question to her. How can you do that? And she was eating peanut butter sandwich, I think.
Did you
The
put that
board,
in your
well,
story? She was eating a peanut butter sandwich while I
no,
interviewed
it's
her?
a promotional story. Now we gotta do it. It's a big mortuary or
Okay.
funeral home. Yeah, one of the biggest in the Philippines. It's Loyola. Oh shit. Well, anyway, so how do you do that? And she was probably a year or two older than me. How do you do that every day? You get used to it. She said, "Yeah, this is my job."
Yeah.
Police. Also, you can say the same thing about police, nurses, doctors. They have worse, much worse. We just report it. They have to deal with it. So yeah, after a while you get used to it.
Mhm.
You're not happy about it, but it's a job you have to do.
Looking back to your reporting days, did you have a favorite beat, or was
The
there something you
legislature.
really enjoyed? Really?
Yeah, the
Okay, why?
legislature. Because there's a lot of people there. Whatever happens, there will be somebody there who would like to talk to you, who will point you to where the documents are. And the staffers are always nice. It was nice up there. Yeah, the most challenging is the court.
Mhm.
The court, of course, is the most challenging.
Why do you say that?
Well, I don't know if they still do that, but Washington Post and the New York Times, I'm not comparing, of course, our newspaper to those newspapers, but Washington Post, the New York Times, the persons who cover the judiciary, covers the Supreme Court and the Department of Justice, and they are lawyers.
Wow.
They are lawyers.
Because they got to understand the document.
Yeah, they are lawyers. And can you imagine how much they are paid? They work for Washington Post and New York Times. Probably the budget of two departments here. But anyway, that's how it is. It's difficult. And if you're not a lawyer, yeah, you have to listen and really try to study a little bit about what's happening and how to explain it. Yeah, so that was the most challenging for everyone who's not a lawyer here. And if you are a lawyer, what will you report about it? You'll be a lawyer, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, and the legislature was the most fun. The police beat used to be fun. Not anymore.
Wait, used to be fun. I mean, I would never consider, I guess it depends on who you're working with, right? If you have a good contact and good interviews, then it could be fun. But why do you say it was
Yeah.
fun?
I'm reading the old files, and it turns out that way back, probably even during the trust territory, I'm pretty sure it was the same thing they were doing the trust territory days. There were daily briefings. You don't
By
need
the
to
police.
look for stories. They will give you this thick. I was here. It happened to me. This is the best beat ever. I said, you go to the police, Major Camacho or Major Norita or whoever was the major there. They will give you this thick pile of documents. It's all the cases of the previous 2 days. You choose. What about this robbery here? What about that rock throwing incident there? You have your stories every day.
So a lot
They
of
stopped it.
transparency.
Yeah, they stopped it during the starting 98 when you became a reporter, I think.
Mhm.
98, they stopped that. I don't know why. They probably thought that the tourism numbers were down. It's probably because every day there was a crime story. Because every day there was a crime story. Even now, if you go there, but they're not sharing anymore. They just post news stories on their website, right?
Mhm.
DPS.
Mhm.
And before, it's every day. It was fun. No, it's not fun for the victims of crime. For the reporters.
For coverage, yeah.
Yeah, there was a report about a cow whose all its 4 feet or how the legs were cut off. Yeah. And one of my reporter colleagues asked the PIO, did the cow die? And the PIO looked at him and said, if you cut off somebody's legs, 4 of them, I think, yeah, the cow will die. That was the highlight of my day. That's your story, the cow that died. I don't know what they do with the 4 legs of the cow. Those were the stars back then. And
So
the
after
hostage
the-
taking.
Yeah, after the
Hostage taking at the
Marianas,
end.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I was going to say, after the Marianas Observer, you went on to be a reporter with the Tribune, Saipan Tribune.
Variety.
Oh, so you never worked for the Tribune?
They wish.
Oh, my apologies. Okay, for the Variety, and then you became editor when at the Variety? recall?
I started covering the Hill right away. And Rafi Arroyo, my good friend, was the editor. When he left, I was his assistant after a while. Then he left. I think it was headed to the States already. So he left, and then I took over. That was in 2001, January or February.
Wow,
Yeah, man, 20
that's a
years.
long time, Zaldy.
Yeah, I've been there forever. 20 years. Variety.
How do you feel, one of the things that we see a lot here in the Marianas, every industry, is turnover, right? Turnover in the workforce. You've been in this field now for decades. How do you feel that length of time serving in the media contributes to what you contribute in your position as an editor versus like what do you think are the major strengths you pull from that long length of service in the media here?
Oh yeah, experience. You know how to do things faster or better in a way, and you're still surprised, but you're never bewildered anymore. You'll still be
Surprised but not bewildered. Okay.
Yeah, because some news are bewildering if you're if you're new to it, especially politics, which is really the most wow, that thing, politics. It's a soap opera. It's a Mexican telenovela. It's just amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. The contortions, the acrobatics, the somersaults, all the things they do there in pursuit of power. Yeah. So at first, what, and then after all, oh yeah, but still, wow. So that your reaction is muted, but it's still there. The surprise is still there.
My mentor when I was young in the field was Frank Rosario. He was
the
press secretary to several governors. And the thing about Frank was he, we'd see the paper, read the paper, what the stories were that day, and then Frank would sit down and he'd go, now this is the real story. And then he would tell like the backstory, or the things that weren't included, or the things that led up to that story, and the other people in the background and stuff like that. Do you feel you have any skill in that area, having covered this for so long, that you can see a story and kind of have an idea about what are the workings going on in the background that kind of led to that?
Yeah. It's 90%. It's not there in the story. 90% of what truly happened. Not because we're censoring ourselves. It's because primarily it's just lengthy to explain all those things. It's just, I realized that when I was taking a photo. I was relatively a new reporter editor. I was taking a photo of this set of politicians. And they were all smiling and hugging each other. Hey, Lanya, blah, blah, blah. Took a photo. And then they dispersed. And one of the guys approached me. Hey, Joe, don't put that picture in the paper. I said, why? And he explained it to me. He hated the guts of the two other persons there. They have a long history.
He actually admitted that?
In so many words. I asked around, oh, okay, all right. And politics, they talk about principles and more principles. It's exactly people who, like us, they hate, they get envious, They got angry. Yeah, they're humans like us.
Yeah.
Have their own pettiness, their own biases, and well, in their case, they call it principles. Their biases and then their whatever it is, their neuroses. They're like us, but they have power and they have to say things in a different way. So and lucky for them, we forget what they say after a while. So now, if you read all the back issues of the newspaper, you will see a pattern. It said, my God, nothing ever really changes in the rhetoric, people's reaction. But now it's more intense because of social media. It's there every day. You go there, it's there, and they magnify it, and they just talk about it, and no accountability now. Anyone can post anything virtually, right?
Mhm.
Unless there's a moderator. In Facebook, actually, you can come up with fake accounts. I don't know if they can still do that now.
Oh, they try. Yes, they
Yeah.
do.
And
You
we
know-
are exactly back. Communications wise, we are exactly back in the early 20th century, 19th century, when anybody could say anything. They were doing that back in the day. They were doing that back in the day, but in print. It's just slow. But it's the same thing. They will publish this horrible, horrible attacks, personal, really horrible. Even in the terms of the 18th century, like terrible stuff. They're printed and they're passed around, or they put out posts. It's the same thing. The human trait to despise, to hate, to spread calumny, to gossip. Not going to go away. Now it's there forever because of the internet. Back then it was already there, but it was slower. It's slower. Number one, you have to know how to read. Now you just watch videos. So it's easier now, but the same thing. Same thing.
Talking about being human, I think one of the challenges of being a reporter and an editor is that, we all make mistakes.
Oh, we do.
It's just that when you're a reporter or an editor, your work is on display for everybody to see and to see if you made a mistake.
You cannot. You're not supposed to make a mistake. If you're a baseball player, you're batting 300, you're great. If you're a reporter who submits 4 stories and you got one name wrong, you're an idiot. Right? That's how it is.
That's how people perceive it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're like, I'm not comparing, but again, we're like doctors. If doctors make a mistake, it's horrible, right? Just one mistake, it's horrible. It's the end of someone's life. In our case, this is one of the few professions where you have to not make a mistake all the time, which is impossible.
Yes.
You know what I want to read whenever I read the top newspapers? Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, New York Times. I go to the corrections, and they have it every day. Those big newspapers. I was just thinking, how? My God, you have how many editors? How many? You guys speak English when you were in your mother's wombs already. And yeah, it's hard, man. The deadline and the pressure, mostly the deadline. It's hard. It's just hard. But we have to try. We keep trying. And if we make mistakes, we issue out the correction as quickly as possible.
If there's something that you could say to, your readers about that kind of situation, or just what you guys do in general, what is it you would want them to know?
We're trying our best. Yeah, we're trying our best. But after a while in this job, 30 years now in this job, I've learned one good thing about it. You have to accept it. And it's just, the best rule is no whining, no complaining. I tell that to myself. Of course, everybody else can do that to me. But to myself, I said, no whining, no complaining. No explaining. No whining, no explaining. Never whine. Nobody likes to hear you whine. Never explain. You're just making up excuses. They will think that, right? Let's correct it. Just carry on. It's a waste of your time and their time.
In your 30 years experience, Can you recall any particular story that may have changed you personally or affected you personally in a significant way?
Oh yeah, it's not a story, it's a series of stories. It's over several years. Covering politics cured me of politics. Yeah, it just, okay, this is not good for anyone. Politics is just, it's a horrible enterprise, but we have to do it. It's like cleaning the toilet. Nobody wants to do it, but you have to do it.
You must have found at least something good in politics.
Yes, retirement. Politicians retiring, not seeking election anymore. It's good for them, their families. It's good for everyone. That's the truth, really. Come on, what change? Nothing will change. They insist that everything will change. Yeah, and technology-wise, yeah, but governing, same problem. Look at the old paper. It's same problem, same funding, finances, and making people do the things that they have to do. That's the biggest mistake of everyone, assuming that we can change people, that we can tell them what to do. We just, hit them in the head. In the beginning, just fines, right? And just imprisonment, and by then we're already killing them, and they still won't change. That's what I realized. But yeah, we will have that because people believe that we can change things, and that especially in government, they can change it. They're in government, right? That's the funniest stuff for me.
On a slightly different note, aside from being an editor, you also have, is it a series? I know you have at least 2 publications that you've authored. Can you tell us a little bit about them? Okay, can you tell us about them?
There are books of short stories, a novel, poems. Yeah, I attended Walt Goodrich's workshops, talking about publishing through Kindle or Amazon, and it was, wait a minute, I can do that. I already have those stuff. So yeah, I'm really grateful to Walt for bringing that up, and that was excellent. Yeah. So I already have 4. The 4th came out this month.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Is there, do you feel that your experience in news influences those works, or is this a totally separate side of you?
Oh, the novel was based on my experience as a reporter.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
and what's the name of it? I'm sorry.
The about Amelia Earhart. It's a story about a reporter who found evidence that he believes proves that Amelia Earhart was here. Yeah, that was the conceit of the novel. But it's basically my my experiences as a reporter here in the 90s. Just, of course, fictionalized account of it. Nothing of that was true. It's just fiction is so much better. Fiction is so much better. Reality is, dumb and boring. In fiction, you can make it into something interesting.
That's really weird coming from a news editor.
Yes, I get to read a lot of dumb and boring details every day. Really, the dumbness of human existence. And I'm not talking about cinema, it's everywhere. The cure for pessimism is to read newspapers from around the world. You will be less likely to say, oh, this place sucks. Cinema is like this. Have you read the news in Kiribati? What about in Papua New Guinea? Yeah. Read them. Read the news from everywhere. You will see, wow, I think we got things going here that are much better than they are in other places. That's the truth.
I think having worked in this field for like 30 years is really a badge of accomplishment, really. What do you feel about your contributions that you've made in this position over the last 3 decades?
Excuse me. I think that's for the people to say if they ever think about that. It's just I'm doing my job, informing people. Like doing it. Yeah, I do like doing it. I can't think of any other profession. Yeah. I like doing it. I like informing people. It's a challenge now. It's more of a challenge. When I was younger, it was more of a how can I make things better? So presumptuous that belief that I can make things better with what I do. Wow. The thing is, want to change the world? Okay, change yourself for the better. Try that first. Then you will. Okay, now I did this. I stopped smoking. I can change the habits of 30,000 people. If you think about what you are really saying, with all these grandiose promises of change and redemption, and it's kind of hard. Start with yourself, and at least there will be one less asshole in the world. Excuse my language.
So looking forward to the future, what do you see for yourself in this field? What do you hope for?
Oh, we're probably moving digital more and more every day.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be more digital. Yeah, the news cycle is basically a cycle now. It never ends. It just goes on and on. It goes on and on. Yeah, because every news now, anywhere, you can post them right away. It's happening. You can see them. Yeah, there will be more, probably shorter stories, more videos. And it's a great thing what the government is doing. Thank God, they're finally doing something right. They're posting videos of their meetings, and their sessions. That's great. Wow, that's great, man. That's great. I wish we had that back in the day. I don't have to drive up there every day. Like I have to drive there every day in the morning, stay there until noontime, and come back 1 p.m. and stay there again until. Oh man, jeez.
We're not going to mention which chamber it was, but do you remember when they used to schedule a meeting and then it for the morning and then it wouldn't happen until hours later, like maybe in the afternoon?
They do that all the time. The trick is.
Oh, they still do it?
I don't know now. Thank God I'm not familiar with what we do now. But I watched them on YouTube. Yeah.
Back in the 90s, I recall.
Yes. Oh, it was even worse in the beginning. They will just they will pass laws, the worst laws ever, like the casino. They will pass it when no one's around. They will do that, or they will schedule it and no one will know about it. There was this bill that's so controversial that they didn't even want to mention its name because the reporters will be alerted. But I've been there. I was there every day. I know the secretaries. I know the staffers. And one of them said, they will pass this bill today. Watch out, watch out. And they gave me the number of the bill. And yeah, it was on the agenda. It was no title, just SB 13, whatever, right? And motion to pass the bill and discussion, none. Opposed, none. It was passed. It's a huge bill. I think it was banning guest workers.
Oh my goodness.
Or still, yeah, it was a big bill. Nobody else except me knew about it because the people there alerted me. Yeah, the beat reporting is like that. It's not about being a genius, just being nice to those people. So they will be nice to you too.
That is so true. I have found that if you are kind and respectful to people, they will almost always reciprocate. Yes. Now, if they've had a bad experience, they may take them a few times. But if you're consistent, eventually they realize you have good intentions.
Yeah, I have my own tricks. I know all their kids' birthdays, their wedding anniversaries, and I put them in the newspaper. Greet them. Just be nice.
Are you good with dates?
Yeah, I write them down.
No, because you just mentioned that I started reporting in 1998, and that is correct.
Yes, because it was during Thanos, Governor Thanos' third term. You were fresh from college, right?
Yeah, I was. Well, I lived in the States for a year, and then I came back. But yeah. I just thought it was interesting that you remembered that date.
Yeah. In the 90s, yeah, I think I would still remember a lot of days. Yeah.
Well, Zaldy, I want to thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself today and letting us get to know the man behind the title and the op-ed a little bit more. Any final thoughts before we go?
Drive safely. Best piece of advice ever, really. Drive safely.
Why do you say that?
Look at this news stories. The most horrible things happen in the road all the time. You know, just drive safely.
All
That's
right.
it. And Happy New Year. Have a happy New Year. Safe,
Absolutely.
happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year to you too, and to all the staff there at the Variety, and of course to all our viewers. Thank you so much, Zaldy.
All
Hopefully
right,
we can
thanks.
catch up again sometime soon.
Sure thing.
We've been chatting today with Zaldy Dandan. He is the editor at Marianas Variety, and he has been serving as a reporter and editor here in the CNMI the longest, over 30 years. Thanks, Zaldy.
All right.
This has been Mariana Stories. I'm Catherine Perry, and we'll see you next month for another edition of our show. Okay, Happy New Year.